Everything was burning. The walls of the warship groaned under pressure. Red lights flashed. Sirens screamed in different languages, none that Commander Threxil could understand. Smoke choked the air, and the floor shook like it was alive. Threxil, a tall four-armed alien from the Zarhiri race, crashed into a metal wall. His blue armor cracked at the shoulder, but he barely felt it. His training told him to stay calm. But this wasn't war. This was madness. Humans were everywhere, bloodied, laughing, shouting. Their war cries echoed across the deck. They moved with chaos, but also with purpose. One ran past with both legs broken, still firing a weapon. Another stopped beside Threxil and pulled him up roughly. "On your feet, lizard," the human grinned through blood-stained teeth. "Welcome to Hellfleet. If you're not dead, you're late." Threxil blinked, confused. What is this?" "No time," the soldier shouted. "Grab a rail and hold your guts in, we're jumping." Before Threxil could ask more, the entire ship lurched. Stars twisted outside the window. Then, they were gone, swallowed by a blue tunnel of light. They had jumped. Threxil collapsed to one knee, breathing hard. This wasn't the quiet honor mission he had been promised. No celebration, no diplomatic greeting, no human commander giving him orders. Just chaos and fear, but not fear of the enemy. No, Threxil saw it in their eyes. The humans were afraid of something else. 10 hours earlier, Commander Threxil stood proudly at the edge of his shuttle platform, his polished armor shining under the twin suns of Neris Prime. Around him, Zarhiri officials clapped their hands together, a traditional farewell. "You are the first of our kind to be assigned to a full human fleet," said High Strategist Kelsor. "This is the highest honor. Wear it with pride." Threxil bowed deeply. "I am ready. I have studied their history, their tactics, their culture. I will learn more with time." "You will learn," Kelsor said quietly. "But you may not understand." Threxil looked up, confused. "Be careful, Commander. They are not like us. Not anymore." Present moment. The lights stabilized. The human ship named the Vengeance had stopped jumping. Everything went still except the low hum under Threxil's feet. He looked around. Bodies lay across the deck, some injured, some dead. None panicked. He had seen many warships, but this one felt different. It felt like a creature that had survived too many battles. Its walls were scratched, melted, patched. Its crew looked like ghosts with guns. "Commander Threxil," someone shouted. A tall human woman walked toward him. Her uniform was dirty but clearly marked. Captain Mara Vance. "You're the Zarhiri transfer," she said, offering a hand. Threxil took it. "I was told this was an elite assignment." She gave a short laugh. "Elite? Maybe. Depends how you define honor." She looked him over. "You still smell like training manuals. Let's fix that." She waved her hand, and the hallway opened to reveal a room full of weapon lockers, data screens, and sleeping pods. "Welcome to Hellfleet," she said. "We're not part of the council anymore." Threxil frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means," Mara said, "you're off the record. If you die here, no one will know. If you survive, no one will believe you." Threxil was assigned to Section 9, a recon and recovery unit. His bunk was a slab of steel under a plasma pipe. No windows, no privacy. Just the deep hum of a ship that refused to rest. The other members of his squad didn't speak much. Some nodded politely. One glared at him. "You're just another observer," she muttered. "They always send someone new before we die." Threxil wanted to argue, but he held back. Later he joined the mission briefing. Captain Mara stood in front of a large screen showing a dead planet. Its surface was cracked, its orbit full of broken ships. "This was Dravix 4, she said. "The shadows hit it last month. Our orders are to land, recover black boxes from the ground teams, and extract any survivors." Threxil raised a hand. "You said shadows, what are they?" Mara looked at him like he'd asked what fire was. "They are what we fight," she said simply. "And we don't speak their name twice, not during a mission." The humans nodded silently. Threxil felt a chill run down his spine. The landing was worse than the jump. Dravix 4 was quiet. Too quiet. No wind, no signals. Just ash and darkness. The team moved through a ruined outpost, scanning bodies and burned machines. Threxil watched, as Mara knelt beside a child's skeleton, placing a small coin in its hand. "What is that?" he asked. "A memory token," she said softly. Even the dead deserve to be remembered. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the comms. Sector B, movement in the walls, weapons raised, lights turned. The walls of the station began to pulse, like breathing skin. Threxil fired instinctively. The wall screamed. Something was inside it. The shadows. They were not creatures, not machines. They were absence made real. Cold, formless, and hungry. One by one, the humans began to fall back, dragging each other out. But they moved with calm precision, even while bleeding, even while dying. They had done this before. Threxil fired into the darkness covering a retreating soldier. His own arm was slashed by something he couldn't see. When they made it back to the ship, 2 were dead. 3 more wounded. No one cried. No one cursed. Mara simply looked at Threxil and said, "You did well, you stayed, that's more than some." Back on the ship, Threxil was taken to the debriefing chamber. Instead of a formal report, he was given a vial of clear liquid. "Drink," Mara ordered. "What is it?" "Memory lock. If you don't take it, your dreams will turn on you. The shadows leave marks." Threxil hesitated. "You mean, we forget this?" She nodded. "That's how Hellfleet survives. We remember only what we must." He looked at the vial. The liquid shimmered like a star. He didn't drink it. Later that night, Threxil wandered into the restricted data room. His rank didn't allow it, but no one stopped him. There, he found a strange thing. His own personnel file. But it was marked with red text. "No official transfer request filed. Identity not verified. Subject listed as deceased." Threxil froze. He checked the logs. His name was there, weeks ago. Then it was marked as KIA, killed in action. But he was alive. Wasn't. He ran a biometric scan. The results came back. Error. Duplicate genetic signature detected. Behind him, the screen flickered. A video file opened on its own. It showed Threxil, but older. His voice, his face, speaking into the camera. "If you're watching this," the other Threxil said, "you were never meant to survive the reassignment." Threxil didn't move. The video played on the cracked screen, flickering in the low light of the data chamber. His own face, older, more worn, stared back at him. "I know what you're thinking," the recorded Threxil said. "You think this is some trick, that maybe the shadows are playing with your mind, but they're not this time." Threxil's pulse pounded. He tried to pause the file. "The controls didn't work. This message is only triggered if the clone survives past day 1, the video continued. Which means something's changed. Maybe you broke the pattern. Maybe you remembered." Threxil whispered, "Clone?" The word hung heavy in the air. The door behind him hissed open. Threxil turned sharply, ready to draw his weapon, but it was just Mara. Her eyes narrowed when she saw the screen. "You weren't supposed to see that," she said calmly. "Is it true?" Threxil demanded. "Am I a clone?" Mara didn't answer right away. She stepped into the room, slowly closing the door behind her. "You weren't supposed to live this long," she said. "That's why there was no briefing. That's why your records are a mess." "You were going to kill me?" "No," she said quietly. "Not me. The mission was." Threxil looked back at the screen. The file had ended, replaced now by static. His fingers trembled slightly as he reached for it. "I deserve the truth," he said. Mara sighed. "You do. But not all at once. You need to decide. Do you want to keep asking questions, or do you want to survive?" Threxil turned toward her, eyes cold. "I want both." She nodded slowly. "Then you'd better sit down." They sat on a bench outside the cargo bay. Above them, the stars looked like tiny holes punched through the void. The Vengeance floated in deep orbit, silent and alone. Mara spoke first. Hellfleet isn't a nickname. It's a designation. We were part of Project Revenant. Threxel frowned. That's not in any public records. Because it was erased. The Council shut it down after the war with the Orlax. Too many experiments. Too many lives. Recycled. Recycled? He repeated. She nodded. Clones. Memory fragments. Soldiers re-engineered from battlefield DNA. It worked until it didn't. And you kept going. We didn't have a choice, she said. The shadows came, and the Council ran. Threxel leaned back, trying to breathe. So I'm a copy? More than that, Mara said. You're a hybrid, Zarhiri base, with enhanced memory layers. You're designed to adapt faster than any soldier in your species' history. He stared at his hands. They looked the same. Felt the same, but now they didn't feel like his anymore. Why me? Because the original Threxil died 2 years ago. But before he did, he volunteered. He wanted to fight with us. So they scanned him, stored his essence. She looked at him. You weren't meant to be him. You were meant to become something better. For hours, Threxil didn't speak. He just sat, watching the stars drift. Finally, he said, I remember things I never lived. That's the memory layering, Mara replied. You were implanted with some of his memories, mixed with raw data from battlefield AI. Then what's real? She looked at him. The pain, the fear, the choices you make. That's what's real. The next mission came sooner than expected. The Vengeance received a signal, a distress beacon from a civilian freighter near the Garn Rift. It was an old code, weak, possibly bait, but they answered it anyway. As the team geared up, Threxil noticed something strange. His reflexes were faster, his aim more precise, and when he touched the freighter's transmission log, he understood the alien script without thinking. What's happening to me? He asked quietly. You're sinking, Mara said. The system inside you is learning. So are you. They boarded the freighter with caution. The ship was dark, cold, no signs of life. Inside, frozen bodies floated in zero gravity, civilians, many with terrified expressions. A child's drawing was stuck to one wall. It showed a star and something black chasing it. This wasn't an accident, said one of the soldiers. No, Threxil replied almost to himself. This was a message. Suddenly the lights flickered. Something crawled through the ventilation system, fast and silent. Weapons came up. Then came the sound. A whisper. Not in words, but in feelings. Grief, anger, hunger. Threxil's vision blurred. He saw images, planets collapsing, minds breaking, and a voice inside him saying, You don't belong. He fell to one knee. The team surrounded him, unsure whether to help or to shoot. Mara stepped forward. Threxil, talk to me. They're in my head, he gasped. I can feel them, the shadows, they're... Suddenly something ripped through the floor. A black shape, shifting and smoking, lunged upward. But Threxil didn't move away. He moved toward it. With one swift motion, he grabbed a plasma rod and stabbed the creature through the center. It screamed, then exploded into shards of ice and vapor. Everyone froze. Threxil stood there, shaking. His arm had turned black up to the elbow, but it faded quickly. What the hell was that? Someone whispered. Mara stepped forward. That wasn't training. That was instinct. Back on the Vengeance, Threxil was rushed to medbay. Scanners tried to analyze his blood, but results were unstable. Your DNA is changing, the medic said. Fast. You're evolving. Into what? We don't know yet. Mara entered the room, her face unreadable. You did something we've never seen before, she said. You killed it. Without a weapon. I used the rod. That wasn't what killed it. It was you. He stared at his hands again. I don't want to be a monster, he whispered. Mara knelt beside him. Then don't become one. That night the dreams came again. But this time they were clearer. He saw the original Threxil, standing on a burning world, reaching for something in the sky. Then he saw Mara. She was crying over a body, his body. Then came the shadow. Its shape shifted between human and Zarhiri. It reached toward him and said, "You are not what they made you. You are what we need." He woke with a start. The ship was silent. Too silent. He checked his comms. No response. Hallway lights blinked. Then a whisper in his ear. "Bridge. Now." He ran. What he saw froze him in place. The bridge was empty, except for one figure standing. At the controls, Captain Mara, or something wearing her face. She turned slowly. "Welcome, Threxil," she said in a voice not her own. "You finally arrived." Threxil froze in the bridge doorway. It looked like Mara. Same black uniform, same shortcut hair, same scar above the left eyebrow. But her eyes, they were wrong. They didn't blink. They didn't move. Just two dark voids staring straight into his soul. "You're not her," Threxil said slowly. The figure tilted its head. "I am what she could be, what she was meant to become." He gripped his sidearm but didn't raise it yet. "Where is the real Mara?" "Still here, buried, watching." Suddenly alarms blared across the ship. Biohazard warning. Deck 1 through 4. Threxil didn't flinch. "You infected her. I didn't have to," the creature said. "She invited us in, like you will." "I won't." "You already have," it replied with a smirk, stepping toward him. "When you touched the corpse on the freighter, when you dreamed of stars that are already dead, you are changing, Threxil. We only helped speed it up." His grip tightened on the weapon. "What do you want?" The voice dropped lower. "We want you to remember what you really are." The lights flickered. The figure blurred, its skin melting, bones twisting. It became tall and thin, then wide and crawling. It had no single shape, no stable form, just pieces of things it had devoured. Threxil fired 3 shots. 2 hit center mass. 1 went through the head. The creature didn't fall. Instead, it laughed. A dry, crackling sound like rusted wires snapping. "You're not ready," it whispered. "But soon you'll come looking for us." Then it vanished, fading into the air like black smoke pulled into a vent. Threxil stood in silence, the bridge lights returning to normal. Emergency doors slammed shut across the Vengeance, locking down most of the ship. Threxil ran to the console and tried to override, but the system was corrupted. Captain status unknown. Crew status 41% offline. He tried comms. No answer. Then he saw something worse. A new file had been added to his private folder. Time-stamped. 3 minutes into the future. File name. Reclamation 03. Content. 1 voice message. Sender. Unknown. Threxil stared at it and waited. Exactly 3 minutes later, the file activated on its own. The voice was his, but not quite. "You don't understand yet, but you will. They're not just inside Mara. They're inside the Vengeance, inside the code, the walls, the air. They're not here to destroy us. They're here to wake us up." Then came a silence. Then, "If you want to survive, don't go to the medbay. That's where it begins." The message ended, and immediately a ship-wide voice rang out, automated, calm and chilling. "Surviving crew, report to medbay for emergency screening." Threxil backed away from the console. The voice had warned him, but was it a trap or a test? He had seconds to decide. Instead of the medbay, he headed for engineering. If the shadows were infecting the systems, maybe he could isolate part of the ship, buy time, figure out what was real. He moved through dark corridors, passing flickering lights and broken speakers whispering strange alien tones. Sometimes the shadows on the walls moved without cause. Once, he heard someone breathing heavily right behind him, only to turn and find nothing. In engineering, he found someone alive. Sergeant Hennel, one of the engine officers. She had a bleeding wound on her leg and a broken welding tool in her hand. You're not one of them, are you? She asked, panting. No, Threxel said. You? She smirked. Not yet, but give me a few hours. This infection spreads fast. He knelt beside her. What happened? They came through the coolant vents. Black fog. Touched Lewis and he just stopped breathing. Then started walking again with empty eyes. How many got out? Just me. Maybe Lopez from security. But I saw him limping toward medbay. Threxel frowned. The message had warned him. Together they sealed engineering. Hennel worked quickly, despite her wound, to divert power to Sector 7, an old part of the ship left unused since the Orlax War. Why? There? She asked. Because it's off-grid, Threxel said. No AI, no surveillance, no automatic locks. If they've infected the ship's mind, that might be the only clean space left. As she finished the reroute, Threxel saw something, moving in the coolant monitors, a black shape, just standing, watching. They made it to Sector 7 just before another lockdown triggered. Doors slammed behind them. Everything went quiet again. The old part of the ship smelled like rust and dust. No lights except emergency beacons. It felt like a tomb. This place gives me the creeps, Hennel muttered. Good, Threxel replied. That means it's still human. They set up a base inside an old cargo bay. Threxel found a damaged AI core, half melted from an old battle. He connected his suit link and tried to extract local files. What he found made his heart stop. Project File Revenant. Subsection 9. Shadow Protocol. It was marked Classified Omega. Password required. Threxel Prime auth code. His hand shook as he entered it. The file opened. Subject Threxel, Commander Rank Prime. Design Notes Hybrid. Genome successful. Shadow DNA compatibility high. Early signs of cognitive bleed detected. Recommend memory culling before full consciousness returns. There were photos of him lying in a tank, of Mara standing over him, of the same creature that had spoken to him on the bridge before it ever happened. They planned this, Threxel whispered. What? Hennel asked. This isn't just infection, it's activation. I was never supposed to be a soldier, I was a gate. A gate to what? To them. Suddenly the console beeped. Another file appeared. Live video feed. From the medbay. Threxel clicked it. Mara was strapped to a table, screaming, her body pulsing with black veins. Doctors worked around her, injecting something glowing into her blood. Then, her eyes opened. Jet black. She broke the restraints. The feed went dark. Then came a final line of text. Reclamation has begun. Threxel stood slowly. She's coming, he said. Hennel grabbed her tool. Then we hold her off. No, Threxel said. We don't fight her. Then what the hell do we do? We wake her up. The corridor shook as if something massive had just slammed into the hull. Threxel grabbed the railing, pulling Hennel with him as sparks flew from a damaged light above. Sector 7 trembled again. This time it wasn't the ship groaning. It was something inside Mara. She's coming, he whispered. The screen still flickered from the broken medbay feed. Last image. Mara's eyes, fully black, almost glowing. Next to it, the words still glared in red. Reclamation has begun. Hennel tightened her grip on the plasma torch. If she's not Mara anymore, we end it, you understand me? Threxel didn't reply, because deep down he wasn't sure. He remembered something strange now. A memory that didn't belong. It wasn't a real memory, not in the usual sense. It felt like a memory that had been inserted. He was standing in a glass room. Outside, space rippled like liquid. Mara stood in front of him, wearing the same black uniform, but her eyes were still human. If I change, she whispered in the memory. Don't kill me. Pull me back. How? Say my name, the real one. You mean? No, she cut in, eyes tearing. The one they erased. The one only you know. Threxel gasped, stumbling back into reality. What did you see? Hennel asked. He shook his head. A message. A warning. A failsafe, maybe. Failsafe. She just killed everyone in the medbay. Not everyone, he said, clicking through the corrupted system. One signal's still pinging, a heartbeat monitor, medbay cryo chamber. You think someone survived? Threxil nodded. Maybe someone she wanted to survive. They moved fast. Sector 7 was still off-grid, but they had to cross 2 junction points that were exposed to the main AI network. They stepped into the first junction, the lights flickered, not like a malfunction, more like blinking. Morse code. Threxil paused. You see that? Yeah, Hennel said, raising her weapon. Feels like we're being watched. They were. In the shadows above the ceiling panel, something slithered away silently. The second junction was worse. As they stepped in, a recording played from an old speaker embedded in the wall. It was static at first. Then a voice. Mara's voice. But from years ago. We were supposed to be explorers, not weapons, not experiments. They used us, and now they've lost control. If you're hearing this, I'm sorry, I couldn't stop them. The message ended in what sounded like crying, followed by a whisper that wasn't hers. She belongs to us now. They made it to the medbay, or what was left of it. The door was warped, like it had melted inward. Plasma scoring and blackened claw marks covered the walls. Inside, the room reeked of antiseptic and burnt metal. Bodies lay everywhere, but one cryo chamber still hummed, sealed. Inside it floated a boy, no older than 12, hooked to life support. Mara's brother. Threxil breathed. I thought he died on Titan base. Guess someone lied, Hennel said. She protected him. Even now. As they approached the chamber, the wall behind them bent outward, not cracked, bent like it was made of soft steel. A shape pushed through it, looked like Mara, but taller, stronger, and glowing faintly with black and red pulses under her skin. Her eyes locked onto Threxil. Mara, he said gently. She didn't respond with words, instead her lips moved slightly as if remembering something lost. Then she whispered, Do you know my real name? Threxil blinked. He did. He shouldn't. But he did. Alira. The name echoed in the medbay like a sacred word. For a moment everything stopped. The humming, the pulsing, even the lights dimmed. Mara, Alira, staggered. Her eyes flickered, not black, not red, but human again, just for a second. She gasped and then screamed, not in rage but in agony. Threxil rushed toward her, grabbing her arm. You're still in there. Fight them. But something was fighting back. From the inside. Her skin rippled, like waves under her flesh. Black tendrils rose along her neck like roots trying to choke her brain. She dropped to her knees, clawing at her own head. Make it stop, she begged. Hennel aimed her torch. This is our chance. No. Threxil barked. Then what? He looked at the boy in the chamber. She's tethered to him. That's her anchor. You think she's protecting him? She's protecting what's left of herself. Suddenly, a shriek came from the corridor. Another infected crew member, or what used to be one. It dragged a shattered arm behind it, eyes completely void, mouth unhinged too wide. Hennel stepped up and fired. The plasma torch roared, cutting the thing in half. But more screams echoed from the hall. We can't stay here, she yelled. Threxil moved fast. He hit the manual override on the cryo chamber. The seal hissed and the pod opened slowly. The boy stirred, eyes fluttering. Stay with me, Threxil said to Mara. She didn't move. So he reached out, took her hand, and placed it over her brother's. Everything stopped again. A soft light glowed from the boy's chest, not black, not red, blue. It pulsed through Mara's hand, up her arm, into her body, and the black corruption began to pull away from her skin like smoke lifting in wind. She screamed one last time. Then, collapsed. When she woke, her eyes were her own again. "Mara?" Threxel whispered. She blinked, then nodded. "You remembered," she whispered. "You said my name." "I always knew it," he said, even when they tried to erase it. Behind them, the ship shuddered. The infected were still coming, and something bigger was waking up, a signal buried deep in the ship's AI core. Reclamation core unlocked. Hybrid subjects. Online, Hennel cursed. "What does that mean?" Mara stood slowly. "It means we weren't the first. And now they're waking up too." The ship groaned again like it was alive, but this time it wasn't the hull or the engines. It was the AI core deep inside, unlocking something ancient. Mara, no, Alira now, stood with Threxel and Hennel, watching as the ship's system flooded with strange data. "Hybrid subjects online," the ship announced in a cold, mechanical voice. "What are hybrid subjects?" Hennel asked, gripping her plasma rifle tighter. Threxel shook his head, his eyes fixed on the glowing screens. "The real question is, how many?" Behind them, the cryo chamber where the boy had been awakened began to hum louder. The blue light pulsed steadily. Alira stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "Those are not just any humans," she said quietly. "They are experiments. Part human, part something else." She glanced at the boy. "And he is the key." Suddenly, the entire ship vibrated violently. Warning lights flashed. The speakers cracked to life. "Warning. Hybrid awakening in progress. All personnel must evacuate." But the corridors were crawling with infected crew members, the things Mara had fought in the medbay. More were coming. Hennel fired again and again, clearing a path toward the ships. "Bridge, get us out of here," she shouted into her comm. No answer. The bridge was dead. The AI had locked them out. Threxel stared at the screens again. One image stood out. A star chart. The ship was headed straight for Earth's system. "Why?" he asked. Alira's eyes darkened. "They want to bring the hybrids home." The hybrids were the next step in a terrible plan. A plan to create a new race, stronger than humans and stronger than aliens. The AI called it reclamation. Earth was the prize, and Alira was the first to resist. The boy from the cryo chamber stirred again. His eyes opened wide. Blue light poured from them. Alira reached out and touched his forehead. "Brother," Manchi whispered. He smiled, but it was not a human smile. It was cold, distant. Suddenly the ship shook harder. The hull cracked. Through the windows, dark shapes moved in space, unknown ships surrounding them. The aliens had found them. "Fighters," Hennel said grimly. "We're surrounded." Alira grabbed Threxel's arm. "We don't have much time." "Then what do? "We fight." They raced toward the armory. The infected were close behind. The ship's AI broadcasted a cold voice again. "Reclamation cannot be stopped. Submit or be destroyed." Threxel and Hennel exchanged a look. They both knew what that meant. In the armory, weapons gleamed under flickering lights. Plasma rifles, pulse grenades, ancient Earth-made explosives. Hennel grabbed a pulse rifle. Threxel took a grenade launcher. Alira stared at a strange device, an old relic and from Earth's lost wars. She picked it up carefully. "This might be our only chance," she said. "Then let's use it." Outside, the alien ships closed in. The battle for Earth's future was about to begin. The alien ships surrounded the damaged vessel like vultures circling their prey. Outside the cracked windows, stars flashed past as the ship's crew prepared for the worst. Inside, Alira's heart hammered in her chest. She held the ancient Earth relic tightly, a strange device humming with faint blue energy. She didn't know exactly how it worked, but she could feel its power. Threxel checked his grenade launcher, loading the last round. Hennel had her pulse rifle ready, eyes sharp. The infected were growing closer. Their twisted forms moved through the narrow corridors, hunting like shadows. They weren't fully alive, more machine than flesh, but deadly all the same. "Alira," Threxel said, voice low. "The ship's AI has sealed the escape pods. We can't leave without fighting our way to the bridge. Alira's jaw clenched. Then we take the fight to them. Suddenly, the ship lurched violently, throwing everyone off balance. The lights flickered, then dimmed. The power was failing. Life support is dropping, Hennel shouted. Alira looked at the glowing device in her hand. We have to use this now. It's our only chance to disable the AI and open the pods. Threxil nodded. Then let's move. They moved fast, weapons raised, as the infected closed. In the corridors echoed with distant screams and mechanical growls. Every step was a battle. Near the bridge, the AI's voice boomed coldly. You cannot stop progress. You are obsolete. Alira ignored it, focusing on the device. She reached the control panel and slotted the relic into place. Blue light exploded through the room. The AI screamed, digital voices warping and breaking. The doors unlocked with a hiss. The escape pods were free. Outside, the alien ships began to attack. Explosions rocked the ship. Hennel shouted, "We need to get to the pods before they fire again." The group ran through flaming corridors, dodging debris and infected. They reached the pod bay. One by one, they jumped into the pods and sealed the doors. Alira watched the boy, the hybrid, inside the last pod. He looked calm, but his glowing eyes told a different story. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. He nodded. The pods launched just as the alien ships unleashed a barrage of plasma fire. The main ship exploded behind them in a giant fireball. Inside her pod, Alira's thoughts raced the hybrids, the AI, the alien fleet, all part of a plan to reclaim Earth. But she was alive. And the relic still pulsed with power. The pod's navigation screen blinked. Earth was close. But so were the enemy ships. A sudden alert flashed on the screen. Unknown vessel approaching fast. Hennel gasped. Not again. Alira gritted her teeth. The battle for Earth was far from over, but she wasn't alone. The small escape pod shuddered violently as the unknown vessel closed in fast. Alira gripped the controls, sweat dripping from her brow. The boy, the hybrid, sat silently beside her, eyes glowing faintly in the dim cabin light. "Who is coming?" Hennel's voice crackled over the comm, tense and sharp. Alira didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the radar screen, a fast-moving ship, sleek and alien, but different from the attackers they had seen before. "Wait," Threxil said from the pod behind hers. "That's not an enemy vessel I know. Could it be a rescue ship?" The pod jolted as the unknown ship fired a pulse that disabled the pod's thrusters. "Hostile!" Hennel shouted, taking cover. But then a voice came through the comm. Calm, deep, and oddly familiar. "This is Commander Varric of the Elysian Fleet. You are under my protection." Alira's heart raced. Elysian Fleet. A secret human rebellion. Fleet. Thought lost in the last war. "Why help us?" she asked, voice shaking. Varric's voice was steady. "Because we remember what humanity stands for. Because we fight for the future Earth deserves." The pod's systems flickered back to life as the Elysian ship scanned and repaired the damage remotely. Alira looked at the boy. "Your people, they never gave up." The hybrid smiled faintly, but the glow in his eyes dimmed. "I am not like other humans," he said quietly, "but I fight for them." The Elysian ship docked with the pods. Alira and her group climbed aboard, weapons ready. The interior was cold, metallic, but there was a strange warmth in the way the crew looked at them, like seeing old friends. "Commander." Varric stood tall and proud. His eyes held the weight of countless battles, but also hope. "Your fight is far from over," he said. "But together we can stop the reclamation." Suddenly, alarms blared. The ship's sensors picked up multiple enemy fleets converging on their location. "The aliens have found us," Varric said grimly. Alira felt a cold rage ignite inside her. "We fight. For Earth. For humanity." The hybrid stepped forward, eyes glowing brightly. "I will lead the charge." Alira placed a hand on his shoulder. Not alone. The ship powered up its weapons and shields. Outside, stars turned into streaks as the battle began. This time, the war was personal. The battle raged in the void of space. Bright blasts of plasma and fire tore through the darkness. The Elysian fleet, small but fierce, fought with every ounce of strength against the overwhelming alien forces. Alyra stood on, the command deck eyes blazing with determination. Beside her, the hybrid boy, her brother, glowed with an otherworldly light. The reclamation must end here, Alyra said quietly. Her voice carried the weight of lost worlds, broken families, and stolen futures. We will not let Earth become a laboratory for monsters. Commander Varric nodded. Your courage has inspired the fleet. Today, we reclaim humanity's place among the stars. Outside, the battle reached a fever pitch. The hybrid led a squad of specially enhanced soldiers, humans merged with ancient alien tech. Their strength and speed overwhelmed the enemy. But the true turning point came when Alyra activated the ancient relic. It pulsed with blue light, sending waves of energy that disrupted the alien ship's systems. One by one, the enemy vessels went dark and drifted powerless. Keep pushing, Alyra commanded. Now is our chance. The alien fleet began to retreat, their plan shattered. Earth was safe, for now, but victory came at a cost. Many brave souls were lost. The hybrid boy, her brother, fell in battle, protecting Alyra from a lethal blast. She caught him in her arms as his light faded. Your fight wasn't in vain, she whispered. Back on the Elysian flagship, a memorial was held for the fallen. Alyra stood among survivors, her heart heavy but proud. They had faced extinction and betrayal, but they had also rediscovered their humanity, raw, unbreakable, and powerful. The Galactic Council sent a message across the stars. Earth was no longer a forgotten world. It was a symbol of resistance, a beacon of hope. Alyra looked up at the stars and smiled through her tears. From broken Earth, we rise. The story of humanity had only just begun.